Hey everybody, Mac to Monster here, coming at you with another build that I'm using. I primarily use this to farm MP8. You can definitely do MP10 with it if you wanted. It's pretty effective, very mana heavy build, so there's a lot of mana resources going on. And current setup, I'm using the two-hander Scorn. Using that with lifesteal. I like to have one a little bit more lifesteal, but you don't need much. At least 5% I would recommend, and as much critical hit damage as you can get. I usually do a search with at least 175 in it. Sometimes you can get some pretty high DPS Scorns with less critical hit damage, higher intellect. They can pay out a little bit. For some reason I find on this character, the Witch Doctor, that the red gem pays off more than the green gem. And it's the only character that really does it for me, so that's why there's a red gem in there. I get about 3,000 more DPS from it. I don't know if it's how the skills work or whatnot. I mean, I do have a lot of critical hit damage, as you can see, 500%. 43% crit chance with the Scoundrel, 45 without it. My resistances have gone down, but my armor has gone up. So I'm down to 730 resist all, but 4,050 armor. And I really like having the armor. I was able to upgrade a few pieces, and that got me out of having the gem for vitality, so I'm fully gemmed for intellect. And I still have over 40,000 hit points, so I always recommend at least 40,000 hit points for anything. 5% lifesteal is nice. You can get by on the 3% if you wanted to do the one-hander with an offhand. You might be able to squeeze a little more DPS out of it. I do have an offhand that I keep on the side. My Manawamas. I didn't have an extra red, so I just put a green in there. That again pays off a lot better with a red gem. And gotta have if you're going to go one-hander, you have to have at least 3% lifesteal. I know that's also the max you can have, but you don't want any less. You want as much as possible. So sacrifice a little DPS and get that 3% lifesteal. I don't really use it though. It's a pretty decent one. I suppose I should sell it, but just hang on to it just in case. And how the build works. It's kind of based off of Firebat. The Firebats use the Locust Swarm to pull everything to you, except they're using Pestilence just so it gets out there. And I'm using Zombie Bearers, which is very, very mana intensive spell. So instead of doing Pestilence, we're doing Devouring Storm. You get 37 mana for every enemy affected by the swarm. That starts paying off really fast. It takes a little longer for it to spread out, but every time it spreads to something, you get 37 mana. It spreads about once a second, maybe once every half second. But it does start getting around pretty effectively. And we have, of course, Zombie Bears, because we're doing Zombie Bears. You get 3 bears that come out. The reason I like this better is the bears do instantaneous damage, where the Firebats you have to spin up for a second before they actually hit and do damage. So that can get a little bit tricky. The other problem with the Firebats, just let me pull them up, it's still a good build. I'm not knocking it or anything, I'm just the reasons why I'm doing this. The Firebats much more damage. Less mana intensive, as you can see. I'm not even losing mana on my mana gem. But they actually don't even hit as far as the graphics go out. they only hit to about that middle ring, so that everything has to be right on top of you for this to hit. And I was getting annoyed because things could actually, the hammer slammers, anything that does the slam, and the chargers can charge right through it and knock you out, move you, you lose your concentration, and then you have to recycle again for a second. So you actually lose about 2 seconds of damage, and that can cause trouble. And you can get hit by things that you can't hit. So the old favorite used to be zombie bears, and I decided, well, let's do a little revisit to zombie bears. And I'm using zombie dogs with lifelink. You know, that's just for mitigated damage, helps survivability, and sacrifice with pride. If you run out of mana, it's a quick way to get up to mana. We have grave and justice because everything's still going to be close to us. Some things may not be within 8 yards when they die. However, I do have plus 7 yards to my gold and globe radius. So actually everything within 15 yards is getting my grave and justice going off. And that's 2% life and mana and 1 second off and cooldowns, which is going to bring the zombie dogs back up faster. I don't have too much occasion to where I actually have to sacrifice them, which is leading me to believe I might be able to get rid of pack and go provoke the pack, which would be nice because then that would be an extra 15% damage. But I don't know. Right now I'm keeping pride just as a backup because I always want a zombie bear. Zombie bear is really the killer, and the dogs are kind of like a crowd control. I am using Haunt with Draining Spirit. The Draining Spirit returns 20.4 mana per second, and it does 575 weapon damage over 6 seconds. So it's almost 100% weapon damage every second. And what's nice is if you kill something when it's on, it just goes to the next one. It lasts 6 seconds. It actually returns quite a bit of mana. And where this is coming in handy is before, when I was just using the gargantuan, I was using a humangoid. That's what I wanted to say. I was using the humangoid, and I was having a problem with single targets because Locust Swarm was primary return of mana, and zombie bears, you know, they'll kill your mana pretty quickly. As you can see, it just goes down. So a little bit of lag there, a lot of bit of lag. Let's come back. So I saw Haunt and I thought I'd try that out, and it's a great single target spell to return my mana, so I don't have to sacrifice as much. Because when you're doing with single targets, Grave and Justice isn't ticking off, making the zombie dogs cooldown come back up. So very good little single target spell. Returns mana. It works with packs too as well. But usually the Locust Swarm is all you really need to do to keep the mana for the packs. When it gets lower, because Locust Swarm costs 190 mana, you have to basically hit 5 targets for that mana to come back. You know, you don't want to do this on a couple targets. You're going to swap in Haunt. You know, Haunt, you only have to hit 4 seconds on 1 target, and you get your mana back. You're actually gaining mana. You'll get an extra 40 mana by casting the spell. And if you can manage it every 6 seconds, then you'll maximize out of that. I usually don't. And we got Spirit Walk, Honored Guest, just in case you need mana. This is the oh no button, something happens, stuff on the ground, you don't want to be where you are, you get jailed, frozen, something. This is to get you out of the place. 15-second cooldown with Grave and Justice. It gets ticked down pretty fast around packs, so you can use this quite often. You know, I mean, do it whenever you want when there's a lot of packs around. I kind of reserve it a little bit when I'm just fighting a couple, probably elites or whatever. And that's the basic of the build. Of course, I'm using Blood Ritual. This helps offset the zombie charger costs of mana, because 15% of your costs of mana go towards your health, and then you regenerate 2% of your maximum health a second, so it keeps you alive. And Spiritual Attunement, giving you an extra 20% mana, and you regenerate 1% of that mana per second extra. Always helps. You know, with everything ticking, you can generate quite a bit of mana. So why don't I just go ahead and show you how the build works.
You look as though you could use a strong hand to help you out.
I'm getting worried with this lag. It's a lot of lag. The bears just destroy stuff, so. The dogs and this MP5. The dogs and MP5 are adequate crowd control. Don't have to worry about them getting killed or anything. MP10, you kind of want to be on top of killing everything that's out there. Ooh. What's going on with this lag? It says green connection. When there's just a couple targets, I tend not to do much. If anything, I'll cast Haunt on it. And Grave Injustice is what's keeping me at full mana, if you're wondering. Remember, everything that dies within 15 yards of me gives me 2% mana and health. One problem with the bears is, if you didn't notice, they can get trapped on corners and hinges and doors, tight spaces. So if your bears aren't going off, you gotta move and redo them. Whoa, massive lag. See how this lag, man. Well, you can see how effective of a build it is. It's doing this with all that lag. What's nice about the bears, if you haven't noticed, is they are actually hitting behind you and around you, and they spread out pretty far, as opposed to the fire bats, which is just point blank on you. Walls will block your bears, so you have to move away from the walls so the bears come out again. These are extra health on MP5. They're just annihilated, even with my bad lag. So that's 2 rare packs. 1 rare pack with horrible lag. Must be my IP. More lag. Very disconcerting. As you can see, those locust swarms just kind of hop, and they keep hopping around. Every time they hop, you get 37 mana. That's what you're looking for. Haunt actually killed that guy. There's still sitting there. The bears hit pretty hard. As you can see, they're critting for 700k, not using any kind of DPS advantage. Away from all that. just enough to die in a heartbeat. Get away from the explosion. Nope, didn't quite make it. Got that one. Those could be pretty deadly.
Have you ever robbed a tomb? Well, is it really robbery if they don't need it anymore?
I'm used to doing this in MP8. This is my MP8 farm build. For everything that I've tried, this is just the I destroy everything fastest build. What's going on here? Lag. My lag meter says orange now. It's not. It's cool. But haunting the thing with the most hit points. More of the increased DPS than anything. Haunt's also going to be very good on those guys too, because well, they can disappear if they want. They still get hurt. See, not running out of mana, that's why I'm wondering if I get rid of pack, but I have to do much more extensive testing on higher MPs. I use MP5 as a baseline. Just because it's kind of like the standard everybody likes to farm under.
I strike at your heart.
I think there's some arcane going on. I'm trying to predict what's happening with my terrible lag here. You can see I just hear red there. Oh, okay, that's good. So, I mean, that just goes to show the viability of the damage of just haunt and locusts. You know, other options would be searing locusts to get the maximum DPS out of them. I'll feel the mirrors that are red. Maybe I'll wait a sec here. Do I have all my dogs? No. I'm good at bunkering.
Strike.
We'll deal with chargers on here. Let's see what's going on. I would have thought that it would have corrected itself by now. Let's see, the bears just eat things alive.
The truth binds you.
also a bunch of bag of lag. I can't even tell what's going on. They're still dying. Zombie bears are just insane. Oh, decaying crypts. It's not green, but as you can see, it's terrible black. Wow. What is going on? I don't know, my wife's downloading. This is annoying. I have to redo the video. I don't know if they even want to show us.
My strife is true.
Brisa do Hyun on your Scoundrel is awesome, 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 awesome crowd control. As you can see, when it works, you can freeze the chargers in place. You can catch them while they're charging.
You are evil and does
No idea what's going on.
my curse upon you. Die. Die. A perfect strike. Strike at your heart.
I don't even know how I'm living. Maybe I will air this and let this be the proof how strong of a build it is. Oh, did I live? Yeah, I lived.
Bans you.
I don't know what all this is going on. Everything's like a second off, 2 seconds off.
It's perfect strike.
Nice. No wonder I've been getting low in health.
Your day comes.
Oh, there's still stuff going on out there. Another good thing about Locust Swarm is that it's damage. It builds up rather quickly.
My strike is true.
Let's get a decent return on life. So I don't know what's going on. So I popped the Spirit Walk just in case. I have no idea what happens. I definitely didn't dodge the guy. Oh yeah. Where's the warden?
I fight dirty.
Stick there as long as I care to. These guys are gonna keep mobile.
There must have wonderful treasure.
That's That's why the Haunting Spirit pays off so well. Keeps you mobile. Rare pack of those guys with lag. Where is oh, there he is. Trapped in the bone, dead. Dogs. Wow, this is such terrible lag. Ugh. A lot of guys there. Get your dots out. They're the chargers, they're your threat. How are that lag? What's going on here? I killed everything. Alright, I'm gonna end the video for the build here. If you see it, I kept it on because even with all this horrible lag, the thing did so well. So you can see it's highly survivable, especially MP5. I mean, my gear, I usually do MP8 as farm material. Gives me a little bit of a challenge. Gotta stay on your toes. MP7 or less, pretty much, you know, a lot easier. MP8, 9, and 10 kind of starts doubling in how tough it is compared to the last MP, where MP 1 through 7 tend to go up like 25 to 50% notches. So, this is Zombie Bears Revisited. Infinite Bears, never ran out of mana. Had a lot of mana in reserve. Could probably swap out Pride for Pack. Get some extra damage. Keep the dogs though, crowd control. Alright guys, talk to you later.